The strongest hero. The strongest hero in the strongest battlegrounds is a representation of the main character of the One Punch Man series, Saitama. The strongest hero is the first and oldest official character out of all currently existing ones. He is a representation of strength through simplicity. His base moveset consists of very normal moves meant to be used in close quarters, lacking any type of mobility or range techniques. Despite this, his moveset excels in stringing combos together, the strongest hero's greatest strength. His combos range from easy to hard in terms of execution, but both are guaranteed to do high amounts of damage. This aspect of the character keeps both beginners and veterans of the game coming back to him, as he is a solid choice no matter what state the game's combat is in. To further aid his strength in close combat, he's armed with one of the fastest punching speeds in the game. His passive reduces the amount of damage a player must deal to unlock his ultimate, and finishers help gain extra meter for the bar. A nod to Saitama's superhuman strength in One Punch Man. A small fun fact about the strongest hero is that his shove also deflects projectiles. Adaption 100%. The Hero Hunter. The Hero Hunter in the strongest battlegrounds is a representation of the main antagonist of the Monster Association arc of One Punch Man, Garu. The Hero Hunter is the second oldest official character to be released after the strongest hero. He is a strong representation of wrath through the use of martial arts. Hero Hunter's base moveset consists of close combat moves just like the strongest hero, but he is given extra perks like mobility and crowd control. Once any move of this kit is activated, the user will be granted invincibility until the move ends. These moves are also all able to damage multiple enemies at once. The Hero Hunter is also the first character ever to receive a counter. This counter is very unique, allowing users to damage multiple people at once and deflect projectiles without taking any damage at all. The Hero Hunter can also effortlessly string together combos, having more wiggle room than the strongest hero to develop more complex combos thanks to the game's mechanics. He is also armed with very fast punching speeds similar to the strongest hero. Oh, also, his final punch throws people back into the air. Undoubtedly having one of the best passives in the game, the Hero Hunter gains health upon every finisher performed on an enemy. This passive also carries over and heals more in the Hunter's ultimate. The Destructive Cyborg. The Destructive Cyborg in the strongest battlegrounds is a representation of the disciple of Saitama in One Punch Man, Genos. He is the third official character to be released in the strongest battlegrounds after the Hero Hunter. He is a representation of mass destruction through the use of cybernetic firepower. The Destructive Cyborg's base moveset consists of mid to long ranged moves, and he is the first ever TSB character to have an actual ranged move. Destructive Cyborg can also deal insanely high amounts of damage, and his moves are capable of damaging multiple enemies at once. Despite this fact, his entire moveset is blockable, a hard counter that halves his damage. Another hit to Cyborg's moveset is the swing rate on his punches, meaning that punching slow to extend combos is not possible on the Destructive Cyborg. On the upside, he has a unique 4th M1 which fires a short blast from his robotic fist, extending his punch range a little further. His uppercut also throws an enemy higher in the air, but I personally wouldn't ever recommend using it. His unique kit also grants extra perks to users, one of them being extra maneuverability. On top of that, when the user ragdoll cancels, they perform an explosive burst off the ground. This explosive recovery deals a decent amount of damage and will kill people at low health if they aren't attentive. His passive is fairly simple, offering a recharge upon all of Cyborg's moves after conducting a finisher. Destructive Cyborg's passive combined with his superb kit makes him the best character for farming kills. Everyone on the all-time leaderboard uses this character just for this purpose. The Deadly Ninja. The Deadly Ninja in the strongest battlegrounds is a representation of Saitama's self-appointed rival in One Punch Man, Speedo Sound Sonic. He is the 4th official character to be released in the strongest battlegrounds after the Destructive Cyborg. He is a representation of speed through shinobi-like techniques. Deadly Ninja's base moveset consists of close to mid-ranged moves, being the second character in the game to have a ranged move in their base kit after Destructive Cyborg. Since Deadly Ninja is, of course, a ninja, he is the first ever character in TSB to wield a sword. Oh, and he's also the first ever character to be absolutely hated by the community. Deadly Ninja's base kit moves are presented to be unbelievably fast, with users being shown to be invisible while using them. Unfortunately though, the lack of block breakers in Deadly Ninja's base kit are a hard counter to his quickness. The mobile aspect of his kit combined with the absence of block breakers encourages players to play a clash and dash style. None of his moves have iframes either, pushing players towards the dark side even more. These cons of the Deadly Ninja kit are a constant reminder for users to play smart when using him. His kit also provides him with fast sword swings for M1s, and his sword is actually called a ninjato. His passive is essentially a flash step, and every time he gets a finisher he'll get 3 flash steps every time he side dashes. The passive is relatively easy to get since all his base moves are finishers. Now the reason why Sonic was and is still hated by some today is fairly simple. Sonic literally literally takes no skill to use, and some people say he's a spammy character, but that was back then. Anybody who still complains about Sonic straight up sucks at TSB. The Brutal Demon. The Brutal Demon in the strongest battlegrounds is a representation of the former S-class hero from One Punch Man, Metal Bat. He is the 5th official character to be released after the Deadly Ninja. He is a strong representation of, well, the never give up mentality. Brutal Demon's moveset consists of close to mid-ranged moves, and he excels at putting heavy pressure on enemies during fights using said moves. Although Metal Bat isn't the fastest character in the book, players are forced to tread carefully because of his various gap-closing moves like Beatdown and Grand Slam. The amount of variance in Metal Bat's kit also help cover most of his weaknesses, and on top of that create new combos. Despite being a great all-rounder on paper, Brutal Demon's flaws have become more apparent after his release in October 2023. His first major weakness comes through his M1s. Brutal Demon's M1s are unique, and he dishes these out by swinging a Metal Bat. This same Metal Bat also seems to be extremely heavy, as it makes Brutal Demon the slowest punching character in the game. Some of his base moves are also liable to be countered due to longer startups. Also, speaking of his base moves, base Brutal Demon is the lowest damage dealing character in the game. This doesn't mean that he's unusable per se, but don't expect to kill enemies with one-shot combos anytime soon. His passive works as a counter mechanic, meaning that each time the user receives damage, their ultimate bar builds up. This is more of a last resort passive in case of emergencies. So is Brutal Demon bad after these flaws? Nope. He's still as annoying as ever. The Blade Master. The Blade Master in the strongest battlegrounds is a representation of the strongest sword master and S-class hero in One Punch Man, Atomic Samurai. He is the 6th official character to be released after the Brutal Demon. He is a representation of precision through the blade. Blade Master's moveset consists of close to mid-ranged moves, and prioritizes dealing large amounts of damage mainly through his combos. He also is granted some mobility with moves like Pinpoint Cut, allowing him to set himself up for potential attacks or break through enemies' guards. Since Blade Master is such a heavy hitter, some of his moves share the same curse as the Brutal Demon, meaning that they have long wind-up times and long windows of vulnerability. This means that users of the Blade Master moveset will have to move with caution, similar to as if they were playing Elden Ring. This guy really just reminds me of that game for some reason. Blade Master is also given a counter, which is surprisingly far superior to the Hero Hunter's counter. This counter firstly is able to extend combos, which carries Blade Master hard as hell. Also, upon executing this counter, anybody within the area of the attack is damaged even if they're blocking. The most amazing thing about this counter though is that it teleports the user if they get hit while using it from a distance. Although he carries a giant sword around, Blade Master has a fast swing rate that is on par with characters like the strongest hero. His passive engulfs the user's katana in flames, granting extra damage to be done upon every hit for 15 seconds. The Wild Psychic. The Wild Psychic in the strongest battlegrounds is a representation of the strongest Esper and S-class hero in One Punch Man, Tatsumaki. She is the 7th official character to be released after Blade Master, and is an accurate representation of strength through psychokinesis. The Wild Psychic specializes in the mid-range area, being able to turn fights in her favor with her various psychic abilities. These abilities include pulling, trapping, creating obstacles, and temporary flight. Wild Psychic's moveset is not only targeted towards one-on-one fights, but managing a small crowd of enemies. She also has fun little gimmicks embedded into her moveset, like being able to block moves with Stone Coffin and being able to lift people into the air as a crushing pull variant. Despite being a dominant psychic character, she has received a lot of drawbacks to her kit. Her total damage output has been cut by half, technically making her the weakest character in the game. On top of that, almost her whole base kit is blockable, meaning you'll have to do a little extra work for that sweet combo. Her passive is one of the main reasons for this, with it spawning a 360-degree shield every time the user blocks after getting a killing blow. The shield is able to withstand high amounts of damage before breakage, so basic M1s won't work on it. Hey, you thought that was bad? Upon explosion, the shield deals 10% damage to whoever is in its small area range. Wild Psychic's M1s are also very unique, with her throwing out psychic slashes instead of punches. The Wild Psychic used to be a powerhouse character, but now she's more of a B-tier fighter, which is not really that bad. The Martial Artist. The Martial Artist in the strongest battlegrounds is a representation of the carefree recurring tournament champion in One Punch Man, Suiryu. He is the 8th official character to be released in the lineup after the Wild Psychic. This character represents having fun through the use of martial arts. Unlike someone similar, the Martial Artist excels at close-range combat, with his base moveset dealing large amounts of damage and his punching speed being one of the fastest in the game. Oh, did I say punching? I meant kicking. Martial Artist is the first character in the game to focus solely on leg-based techniques. His kicking speed is so fast that users of the Martial Artist moveset will win M1 trades more often than not. Although being meant for one-on-one fights, all of his base moves have small AoE, meaning that he'll be able to damage multiple people at once. Martial Artist also has unique mechanics within his various base moves, like with Vanishing Kick, which can intentionally teleport users miles away just to hit a target. Although being forced to play up close, you might have noticed that Martial Artist unfortunately lacks a consistent M1 extending combo. Despite this, he's still an extremely effective close quarters character thanks to his unpredictability. His passive is hit or miss, with it only being a stronger uppercut that activates after a finisher. Although the uppercut does as much as some actual moves, you might not even get to use it in an actual fight. In Awakening mode though, you can spam the special uppercut infinitely, which is pretty nifty. The Tech Prodigy. The Tech Prodigy in the strongest battlegrounds is a representation of the former rank 5 S-class hero in One Punch Man, Child Emperor. He is the 9th official character to be released after the Martial Artist, and as of the time of this video is currently in early access. This character represents brawling through the use of cybernetic weaponry. Thanks to his technology, Tech Prodigy is viable at both the close and mid-range. He is able to apply constant pressure with various moves in his kit like Web Boom and Plasma Cannon, both of which do very good damage. A lot of people also label Tech Prodigy as the anti-teaming character, thanks to his base kit dealing insanely good area damage and having good mobility on top of that. But despite this, you already know what comes next at this point. The cooldowns on Tech Prodigy's moves are insanely long, with all of his base moves having around the same cooldown timer of 20 seconds. Compare this to the fact that every other character in the game has at least one move with a fast recharge time around 15 seconds, and you'll realize that the Tech Prodigy is in a weird place as of right now. Since the character is still in early access, expect to see some changes to him, especially when he gets his ultimate mode.